Antarctica. A composite portrait of a continent which has challenged man since first he could sail beyond the limits of his horizon.
Missions to study the weird wonders of the amazing Antarctic.
For the sum of Antarctica's secrets is but one piece in the greater puzzle that challenges man on all corners of the universe.
What secrets are hiding beyond Antarctica's thick, icy walls? As scientists go further into this unknown land, they face very cold weather and puzzles that nobody has solved for a long time. Some people think it hides old treasures that have been lost for ages. Others guess there might be secret places or strange creatures at the very edge of the world. Join us on this adventure as we delve into the terrifying muster beyond the ice wall. As scientists venture deeper into the uncharted territory of Antarctica, they encounter extreme cold and unsolved mysteries. Speculations emerge regarding the secrets concealed beyond its icy borders. Some believe ancient treasures lie buried beneath the snow, waiting to be discovered. Others speculate about hidden realms or unknown creatures inhabiting the far reaches of the continent. Join us on this thrilling expedition as we explore the cryptic world of Antarctica. Chapter 1. Captain Cook's legendary exploration. The land of Antarctica is a vast expanse of ice, filled with secrets and stories, and has been the backdrop for countless exciting journeys that have sparked the interest of many explorers and adventure seekers over the years. These journeys, fueled by a desire to learn, scientific questions, and the resilience of the human spirit, have expanded the limits of what we know, revealing the hidden details of this far-off and unwelcoming place. Among the earliest and most notable journeys to this region was led by Captain James Cook. In the 1700s, Captain Cook, a man who became a legend in sea exploration, rose from a simple background to become one of the leading navigators and mapmakers of his era. He was born in 1728 in Marton, Yorkshire. Starting off in the British Merchant Navy as a young apprentice, he climbed up the career ladder in the Royal Navy. His unmatched talent in finding his way at sea and creating maps, together with his never-ending curiosity, set him off on groundbreaking sea adventures. Captain Cook's first major sea journey took place between 1768 and 1771 on the ship HMS Endeavour. The main goals were to watch the Venus transit across the sun and to explore the vast Pacific Ocean. This journey was significant because Cook's findings improved our knowledge of world geography and sea travel, which influenced later explorations, including those near the cold waters of Antarctica. From 1772 to 1775, his second journey was aboard the HMS Resolution and the HMS Adventure. This time, Captain Cook aimed to find a mysterious land called Terra Australis Incognita, meaning unknown southern land. Although his ship sailed close to the Antarctic Circle and covered a large area of the Southern Ocean, they never actually saw Antarctica itself. The third journey took place between 1776 and 1779, with Cook again at the helm of the HMS Resolution, accompanied by the HMS Discovery. This expedition aimed to discover a passage linking the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in the north. Even during this voyage, Cook did not come across Antarctica, focusing instead on exploring the northern waters. Despite never setting foot on Antarctic soil, Captain Cook's detailed maps and records from his journeys were invaluable. They helped not only him, but also many explorers who followed in his wake, navigating the treacherous waters and icy landscapes of the world's most southern regions. While Captain Cook's voyages are celebrated for their contributions to our understanding of the world's geography and sea routes, it's also important to note a lesser-discussed aspect of his life, his faith. Cook's achievements are often discussed without mentioning his Christian beliefs. However, it's interesting to note that he turned to the Bible to gain insights into ocean currents and navigation techniques. These biblical references were not just minor details, they were central to his understanding and approach to each expedition. After learning about Captain Cook, let's find out about James Clark Ross, another explorer who went on big adventures to the cold places of the Earth. Chapter 2. Ross's icy, challenging Antarctic adventures. In our next story of adventure and discovery in the icy South, we turn to a notable figure, James Clark Ross. Ross was a well-respected officer in the British Navy and an explorer of the cold polar areas during the 19th century. He is remembered as a key player in the history of exploring Antarctica. Born in the year 1800, Ross came from a family with a strong background in sailing, which set the stage for his extraordinary life. He took part in significant explorations toward the North and South Poles, leaving a legacy of major discoveries and contributions in both the Arctic and Antarctic regions. His exploration to the Antarctic, which spanned from 1839 to 1843, aimed to map out the coastlines of the mysterious southern lands, to explore and confirm the existence of new territories, and to gather important scientific data. This data included information on the magnetic fields, the local wildlife, and the landscape's overall geography. Ross's name became closely linked with some of the most critical findings in Antarctic history. One of the hallmark achievements of Ross's expeditions was the identification of the Ross Sea, an extensive body of water that cuts into the continent from the Antarctic coast, situated between Victoria Land, named in honor of Queen Victoria, and Marie Byrd Land, named after the wife of Richard Byrd, another explorer who will be mentioned later. This discovery was monumental in the annals of Antarctic exploration. Ross is also credited with discovering the Ross Ice Shelf, a colossal barrier of floating ice stretching out from the continent's edge into the Ross Sea, presenting a stunning and imposing natural wonder. During his expedition, he also identified two towering volcanoes, which he named Mount Erebus and Mount Terror, after his expedition ships. These landmarks served as critical reference points for future Antarctic expeditions. In contrast to Captain James Cook, James Clark Ross's expeditions resulted in significant tangible findings, including the actual charting of parts of the Antarctic landmass. His return marked a pivotal moment in the mapping of our world. For the first time, the outlines of Antarctica began to appear on global maps, effectively shrinking the unknown parts of the planet. Ross's voyages bridged gaps in global geography, transforming the mysterious southern ice into a region marked on maps and filled with newfound geographical landmarks. Now, we'll talk about Admiral Richard E. Byrd, who used airplanes to explore the icy lands instead of ships. Chapter 3: Admiral Byrd's Sky-High Quests. The story of Antarctica took a dramatic turn due to airplanes, not ships. This change is closely linked to Richard Evelyn Byrd, also known as Admiral Byrd. He was born on October 25, 1888, in Winchester, Virginia, and grew up to be an American naval officer and pioneer in aviation and polar explorations, especially in Antarctica. Byrd was drawn to the unknown from a young age, leading him to the poles of the Earth, gaining him worldwide praise. He started his journey into aviation at the United States Naval Academy, graduating in 1912. There, he became a leading figure in naval aviation, developing new ways to navigate and flying missions during World War I. After the war, Byrd's focus shifted towards the icy regions of the South Pole. His first major Antarctic adventure happened between 1928 and 1930, known as the First Byrd Antarctic Expedition. Here, he set up Little America, a base on the Ross Ice Shelf, and from there, he flew over Antarctica, gathering data and mapping out the land. Byrd's flights over Antarctica helped us know more about this frozen land and opened doors for later expeditions. His next big trip, the Second Byrd Antarctic Expedition from 1933 to 1935, made him even more famous. On this journey, Byrd flew over the South Pole on November 29, 1929, in the Floyd Bennett airplane, marking a historic moment as the first person to do so. This flight brought him fame and secured his place as a legendary explorer.
The Antarctic continent is surrounded by frozen seas. The bottom of the world is considerably colder than the top of the world.
But Byrd's adventures didn't stop there. He led another important mission, the United States Antarctic Service Expedition from 1939 to 1941. With years of polar experience, Byrd aimed to do more than explore. He focused on scientific research in areas like weather, rocks, ice studies, animal life, and the sea, along with mapping unknown parts of Antarctica. His team also worked on improving the gear, vehicles, and ways to live in such a cold place, setting standards for those who would follow into the icy wilderness. Thus, we turn our attention to Operation High Jump, an important chapter in the history of Antarctic exploration. Operation High Jump was a massive project undertaken by the United States Navy from 1946 to 1947. Under the leadership of Admiral Byrd, it became the most extensive Antarctic mission of its time. The mission's goals were to study the area, set up research stations, try out military gear in the cold, and showcase American presence in Antarctica. This operation came right after World War II and showcased an impressive array of resources. Numerous ships, planes, and over 4,000 people, including military personnel, scientists, and support staff. The fleet was impressive, featuring an aircraft carrier, seaplane tenders, helicopters, cargo ships, and more. The operation has sparked stories, partly due to the immense military force displayed in such a remote location. This show of strength led to rumors, including those suggesting that German forces might still be active in Antarctica, stemming from their own expeditions in the late 1930s aimed at mapping and exploring the continent. Although the war interrupted much of this activity, leaving little evidence, speculation about German operations and their supposed secret technologies in Antarctica persists. Similarly, Admiral Byrd himself has been the center of various debates and theories, particularly regarding his statements and experiences in Antarctica. Unlike common conspiracy theories, some of these stories come directly from Admiral Byrd. In an interview on the TV program Longines Chronoscope, Byrd shared his experiences and observations. In the show, Frank Knight introduces Admiral Byrd, highlighting his status as a prominent explorer who opened new frontiers in the Arctic and Antarctic.
Is it any secret? Is there uranium there? That would be the only thing that would be practical to actually go after, I suppose. Everything else would be economically unfeasible, wouldn't it?
Well, as we recklessly expend our resources, the time will come when we'll have to go after that stuff down there.
Byrd then speaks about the unexplored territories remaining on Earth, particularly an area as large as the United States, beyond the South Pole, untouched and unseen by humans.
What was weird about Antarctica?
You can't go to the interior of Antarctica, which is where we were. So there, at the South Pole, there is a bunch of, from my understanding, like pure science going on there.
This revelation underlines the vast mysteries that Antarctica still holds, suggesting immense, untapped potential in terms of resources and knowledge. Byrd's comments hint at the global interest in these hidden riches and the continuing allure of the Antarctic for adventurers and nations alike. Next, we'll learn about the Antarctic Treaty, where countries agreed on rules for peace and science in Antarctica. Chapter 4. The Disturbing Secrets Behind the Antarctic Peace. The interview with Admiral Byrd on the Longines Chronoscope was broadcast on December 8, 1954. Just under 5 years after this broadcast, a significant international agreement, the Antarctic Treaty, was signed on December 1, 1959. This treaty changed how countries could interact with Antarctica, being celebrated as a prime example of global collaboration. The main points of the treaty were aimed at ensuring peace, supporting scientific research, and protecting the unique environment of Antarctica. The treaty clarified that Antarctica was to be used only for peaceful purposes, strictly banning any military actions, creating military bases, or weapon testing in the area. It encouraged countries to work together in their scientific endeavors, allowing them to freely conduct research and share their findings with the world. It ensured that no new territorial claims would be made, and existing claims would not be recognized or disputed while the treaty was in effect. Moreover, the treaty put a strong emphasis on preserving the natural environment of Antarctica. It set rules against any activities that could harm the ecosystem, like pollution or improper waste management. The agreement also set up regular meetings between the countries that signed the treaty. These meetings were meant to discuss how to govern Antarctica, plan scientific studies, and protect the environment. The treaty was made to last indefinitely, with opportunities to review and update its terms to remain effective and relevant. Originally signed by 7 countries, including Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom, the treaty came into effect in 1961 and has since been joined by many other nations, bringing the total to 56. Due to the rules set by the Antarctic Treaty, private expeditions to the continent without official permission are illegal and can lead to penalties. This is a departure from the views shared by Admiral Byrd and the Longines Chronoscope hosts, as the treaty restricts Antarctic exploration to those with the necessary resources and approval. Now, the general public's access to Antarctica is typically through costly tourist cruises that only touch the edges of the continent, offering a brief and limited experience. The United Nations played a significant role in the treaty's establishment, reflecting its broader mission to foster peace, cooperation, and development worldwide since its formation in 1945 after World War II. Looking at the UN's emblem gives insight into its values and goals. The emblem features a laurel wreath, a symbol of victory and peace, surrounding a map of the world. This design suggests a commitment to global unity and cooperation. However, interpretations of the emblem vary, with some seeing the wreath as a sign of control or limitation, representing the boundaries of human reach and governance. Logos are not just pictures. They carry deeper meanings, ideas, or even hidden messages. They use symbols and shapes to convey information that has been passed down through the ages. These symbols don't need words to express their messages. They communicate through visual hints. Understanding the hidden message depends on interpreting the creator's intentions. Let's look at some examples to explain this concept. The logo of the World Economic Forum features the letter O crossed out several times. To those who know how to look, this could hint at the number 666, often associated with the beast from biblical texts. The Google Chrome logo, with its circular design, can be seen as representing an eye or a gateway. The arrangement and colors might suggest a repeating pattern of the number 6, again implying the number 666 when viewed a certain way. Then there's the PlayStation logo, where the P and S are designed in a way that could be seen as suggestive, leading some to question what the imagery truly represents. Another example is the Apple logo, reminiscent of the forbidden fruit from biblical stories, with the first product priced at $666, adding to the intrigue. Turning back to the United Nations logo, it shows the Earth from a top-down view, suggesting a different perspective of our planet. This design could imply a way of seeing the world that differs from the traditional map, with travel between countries visualized as moving in circles rather than straight lines. If this image were wrapped around a globe, it would align with the familiar world map, with Antarctica at the bottom encircling the land. This invites us to look at the world differently, suggesting that sometimes what we seek might already be in front of us. Let's move on to a different topic: how some people understand the Earth's shape based on the Bible. Chapter 5: The Untold Mysteries of Biblical Earth. The idea that the Earth might be different from what is commonly believed, such as in biblical cosmology, is not widely accepted. This chapter examines the work of Orlando Ferguson, who in the late 19th century created a map based on his interpretation of the Earth's shape according to the Bible. Born in 1845 in Madison, Wisconsin, Ferguson proposed a flat, square Earth model with the North Pole at the center, surrounded by continents. His 1893 Map of the Square and Stationary Earth, combined this concept with biblical quotes to argue against the globe model. Ferguson's work is underpinned by his deep faith and the belief that rejecting the Bible's words is akin to denying Christ himself. He suggests that true understanding comes from accepting the Bible's teachings, which he sees as the foundation of truth. The map and its annotations highlight scriptures that Ferguson believed contradicted the idea of a spherical Earth. The basis of this belief is that Jesus Christ is central to faith and truth, likened to the cornerstone of all creation. According to this view, understanding the world's design as described in the Bible reveals the true nature of our environment. The discussion then shifts to the book of Job, particularly chapter 38, where God speaks to Job out of a whirlwind, questioning his understanding of the Earth's creation. This passage suggests that humans, with their limited knowledge, cannot fully grasp God's designs or the foundations of the Earth. These verses imply that the Earth has set measurements, fixed foundations, and defined corners, challenging the conventional view of a round planet. Additionally, the scripture mentions the morning stars and sons of God as witnesses to the Earth's creation, suggesting a celestial audience during the formation of the world. This interpretation emphasizes a literal understanding of the Bible's words, seeing them as factual descriptions rather than symbolic language. Ferguson and like-minded individuals believe that the true shape and structure of the Earth are described in these ancient texts, which detail a creation that is vastly different from the mainstream scientific view. Moving on to the book of Revelation, we find a passage that ties back to the idea of the earth having corners. Revelation chapter 7 mentions 4 angels standing at the earth's 4 corners, controlling the winds so that they do not blow on the land, sea, or trees. This image supports the concept of a flat earth with defined edges as depicted on Orlando Ferguson's map, and relates to earlier biblical mentions of the earth's structure. Returning to the concept of foundation in the Bible, we revisit Job, this time chapter 22. This passage speaks of God's supremacy and presence above the earth and the stars, emphasizing his oversight from the heavens. It contrasts the divine foundation with that of the wicked, whose flawed foundations were destroyed by the flood. This shows how foundation can mean different things: the physical world, moral standings, or even individuals' lives, depending on the context. In Psalms, particularly Psalm 102, foundation refers to the creation of the earth and heavens by God, who is eternal and unchanging. This scripture reinforces the belief in a structured creation, with the earth and multiple layers of heaven crafted by God's hands. Genesis chapter 1 describes the creation of life and birds flying in the firmament of heaven, which is seen as the sky or space below the higher heavens, where God resides. This distinction indicates there are different levels or areas within the heavens, each serving different purposes according to biblical descriptions. In Isaiah chapter 48, it suggested that the earth has a flat base and the heavens stretch wide, showing the shape of our world. The chapter states that God laid the earth's foundation and stretched out the heavens. The term spanned here implies a straight, flat measurement, like stretching a hand across a flat surface, not a curved one. Moving on to the firmament or sky, Job chapter 37 compares it to strong, clear glass. This comparison suggests the sky is like a flat, transparent dome over the earth. When we spread something out, like dough or a tablecloth, we do it on a flat surface, not a round one. This implies the sky stretches over the earth in a flat, even layer. Genesis chapter 1 explains the creation of light, separating day from night, and the formation of the firmament, a dome dividing the waters above from those below. This separation created the sky and the sea, with the firmament supporting the waters above, much like a dome can hold more weight than a flat surface because of its shape. The firmament's clearness lets us see through to the blue sky or the dark night, depending on whether there's light. The stars appear to twinkle not because they change, but because we're looking at them through this dome, like sunlight reflecting off water. This explanation ties back to the idea that the earth and heavens have a distinct, flat, and domed structure. Revisiting the concept of the firmament described as glass, it seems this is why the sky can appear like a vast sea when viewed from above. In Revelation 4, the area around God's throne is described as a sea of glass, clear, like crystal. This imagery suggests the sky, or firmament, is not just a barrier, but a platform reflecting God's glory. When light passes through clear materials like glass or crystal, it bends, a process called refraction. This bending can break the light into all the colors of the rainbow. In Ezekiel chapter 1, the firmament is described as shining crystal, emphasizing its awe-inspiring, fearful color. This terrible or awe-inspiring crystal reflects the overwhelming presence and glory of God, similar to how Moses' face shone after speaking with God. Ezekiel describes the throne of God above the firmament, shining with colors like amber and surrounded by fire, with a radiance similar to a rainbow. This vivid imagery underlines the divine origin of the light and color seen in the sky. So when you see the northern lights, think of them as a display of God's magnificence, his light shining through the dome of the firmament above us. Now we'll look at Operation Fishbowl, where tests were done to learn about nuclear bombs and space.
Johnston Island was the center of launch and experimental activity for the 1962 high-altitude weapon effects testing termed Operation Fishbowl. At the northwestern end of the island was the Thor launch complex, joined later by Nike Hercules and Stripey units, plus a second Thor pad. On Operation Fishbowl...
Chapter 6. The Hidden Truths of Fishbowl. This chapter talks about Operation Fishbowl, a part of a bigger project called Operation Dominic, where the US tested nuclear weapons high up in the sky during the Cold War. They wanted to see how nuclear bombs would work in space and how they could affect the Earth's magnetic field. These tests started in 1962 and were done over the Pacific Ocean. They tested how nuclear blasts behave in space and their effects on things like communication systems. There were several important tests, like bluegill, starfish, and kingfish. Starfish even made a temporary radiation belt around Earth. The text also touches on human attempts to break through what feels like a ceiling above us, referencing Hillary Clinton's speech about breaking the glass ceiling, SpaceX's rockets, and the curved path they take over the ocean. It suggests these are not just random events. Then, it shifts to discussing the sun and moon, referencing verses from Isaiah 40 in the Bible. These verses talk about God's creation of the earth and the heavens, painting a picture of the world as a tent with the sun and moon inside. This sets the stage for a discussion on the physical and spiritual structure of the world, according to Scripture. Psalm 19 says that the sky shows God's glory and the universe proves His work. Every day and night, they reveal knowledge and speak to us, without using words. They reach everyone, everywhere. God made a home in the sky for the sun, which shines bright and travels across the sky, warming everything. Genesis explains that the sun and moon were made after the sky separated the water. This sky, or tent, is laid out over a flat ground, not a round one, according to the Bible. The movements of water are often thought to be because of the moon's gravity, but the Bible shows it's all part of God's plan. Ecclesiastes says that rivers flow into the sea, but it never fills up. They return to where they started. This cycle is not just due to natural forces, but is under God's control. In Psalm 104, God set the moon to mark the seasons, and the sun knows when to set. This shows that the sun and moon's movements and changes are directed by God, not by natural laws. The story of Joshua shows God's power over the sun and moon. When Joshua needed more time to win a battle, he asked God to stop the sun and moon, and God did. This shows that God controls the universe, not the other way around. Revelation talks about a time when the sun will turn black and the moon will turn red. This suggests that something else in the sky causes eclipses, not just the positions of the sun and moon. The Bible offers a different view of the world than science does. It presents the idea that God is in control of everything, including the sun, moon, and stars. If you believe the Bible, it challenges modern scientific explanations of natural events. In Revelation chapter 6, it mentions stars falling to earth, like figs from a tree shaken by a strong wind. This makes us wonder how stars, if they were really far away, could fall to earth so quickly. This leads to the idea that maybe stars are closer than we think. The Bible has different views on stars. For example, Job mentions stars not shining brightly and being impure in God's eyes, yet they sang joyfully when the earth was created. Psalm 147 says, God knows each star by name, and Psalm 148 tells stars to praise God. Each star is unique, as 1 Corinthians points out that each has its own brightness. Daniel describes the righteous shining like stars, suggesting stars could represent goodness. However, Jude compares disobedient angels to wandering stars, punished with eternal darkness, hinting that stars could make choices and even rebel. This leads to the question, are stars like angels, capable of thinking and defying God? The Bible seems to hint at this. Finally, Revelation 12 talks about a dragon pulling down a third of the stars to earth, symbolizing angels who joined a rebellion against God. These fallen angels, like fallen stars, show that even celestial beings can choose the wrong path. I suggest this idea. What if every shooting star is actually an angel choosing darkness over light? If that's the case, then wishing on them means you're choosing darkness too. Revelation links falling stars to this dark choice. In Revelation 9, a fallen star, described as a being, is given a key to a deep, dark pit, releasing smoke and locusts from within, which darkens the sky. It's unclear whether this fallen star, called He, is the same as Abaddon, the angel ruling the pit, or if they are different. But this story connects stars and angels with rebellion and punishment. This idea offers a new way to think about what we see twinkling in the sky, reminding us that not all that glitters is good. Lastly, we'll explore the mysteries of Antarctica, a place with hidden secrets under the ice. Chapter 7. Unveiling Antarctica's Hidden Secrets. Discussing Antarctica from a biblical viewpoint requires understanding true world structure. This background sets the stage for our discussion. In Antarctica, there's a mysterious opening in the ice that worries many, and some even think it connects to the bottomless pit from Revelation. One possible location is the Weddell Polynya, an area of open water amid sea ice in the Weddell Sea, which mysteriously appeared and reappeared after several decades. Another possibility involves Antarctica's subglacial lakes like Lake Vostok, which are lakes under the ice, not actual holes but still intriguing due to their hidden ecosystems and extreme conditions. A third, more speculative idea comes from alleged secret diaries of Admiral Byrd. These diaries, mostly shared through YouTube or Wikipedia, tell of his supposed journeys to hidden worlds beneath Antarctica. These stories, filled with descriptions of lost civilizations, dinosaurs, and remnants of old wars, sound like something out of a King Kong movie. While exciting, they remind one of the kind of elaborate tales found in old internet blogs, blurring the line between history and imaginative storytelling. Admiral Byrd is highly regarded due to his famous explorations and connections with famous people, including the president. However, I believe that the ultimate truth comes from Jesus Christ. Byrd was part of the elite, involved in a system contrary to Christian teachings. In contrast, the true foundation should be Christ, as understanding Him and His words leads to real truth about our world. Job chapter 38 highlights God's power in creation. He asks who laid the earth's foundations or set its boundaries. This passage describes God controlling the sea, the weather, and the day itself, challenging us to acknowledge His authority over nature and our lives. It teaches that God's creation is beyond our full understanding and control, reminding us of His ultimate power and our need to respect His boundaries. In the book of Job, God explains to Job how He controls creation, including how He keeps the seas within their boundaries. Water naturally levels itself and will flow into any space available, but God has set limits to keep the oceans in place, as if sealing them within edges. This questions the idea of an earth without clear edges, like a ball. Many in the truth community explore theories about what lies beyond the known world, suggesting there could be more beyond the ice surrounding us. But I think focusing too much on what's outside our current knowledge can distract from more important inner truths. Could the vast icy expanse of Antarctica hold keys to our past, or perhaps secrets not yet fully understood? Is there more beneath the ice than just land and water? Maybe truths waiting to be discovered. Share your thoughts and theories with us, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown.